Hello there, I'm Todd Mansfield from Core's Greens, Grains, and Bone Broth. And today on Core Live, we have Dr. Matthew Bennett, orthopedic surgeon, also trained as a fellowship in metabolic medicine and nutrition. And today, Dr. Bennett and I are going to be discussing food allergies, food intolerance and sensitivities. And Dr. Bennett, how about we start by just speaking into what is a food allergy different than a food sensitivity?
Two distinctions. A food allergy, you know right away. It's the one you eat shrimp, you eat peanuts, your throat swells, you get hives, you can't breathe, you go to the hospital, you eat it, you know it right away. On the other hand, food sensitivity, it's a little different. It's usually delayed. So you eat something, you may not have a reaction for a day or two. And the reaction may be something you wouldn't even expect is related to food, inflammation. It may be grogginess, it may be fatigue, it may be increased pain, it may be bowel dysfunction. It can be any of those things.
That's great. And has there been an increase in food sensitivities in the last 10 or 20 years?
It's a great question. I mean, for sure, we're talking about it more. Is there more sensitivity? I would think so. I think particularly we're seeing increased food sensitivity when it comes to gluten.
Yeah, I would say in the restaurant world, we certainly find more and more people asking to know what's in our products, and gluten happens to be the one people are always asking us about. So is there a reason why we're seeing more gluten issues?
It's highly debated, but I think two things. First of all, the bread is different than it used to be, right? We've made it what we think is better. We made it fluffier. It tastes better, it feels better in our mouth. We've crossbred the wheat to be different, and there's higher gluten content in it. But secondly, our guts have changed over time. And so more recently, we think we've got more inflammation now than we've had before, whether that is exposure to toxins, whether that's a change in the bacteria that live within our gut. But either way, I think our guts are different than they were even 10 or 20 years ago. And I think the gluten content of bread is much higher than it was 10 or 20 years ago.
Okay, and so if I don't feel well, feel logy, feel tired, have bowel issues, how would I better know what I have a sensitivity to and what I don't?
Two things you can do. And the first is formalized testing, blood tests to look at sensitivities. Now, that's not always available in every state. It can be expensive. It can be hard to find a practitioner that will do that sort of testing for you. The easiest way is to do an elimination diet. So we get rid of the top food sensitivities. Now, it doesn't mean you're sensitive to all of these, but let's get rid of the top 5 or the top 6 and find out which of these you're sensitive to when you add them back into your diet. So you go a period without them, then you add one back into your diet and see how you feel a day or two later, and that can be a sign that you're either sensitive to it or not sensitive to it.
And what foods are those that people are mostly sensitive to?
So top on the list is gluten, soy, dairy, eggs, corn, peanuts, and those seem to come up time and again.
Okay, so I would cut those out for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I would slowly begin to add one of those back and see how my body responded. If I didn't have any bowel issues, no fatigue, no increase in pain over 3 or 4 days, that would be an indication that I probably am not sensitive or intolerant.
Right, and you may be able to add that back into your diet. But I just want to clarify one of the points you made is many people say, well, I can't have a sensitivity because my bowel function is totally normal. What we know is that's not the number one presentation of people who've got a gluten sensitivity. It's that fatigue, it's the brain fog, it's the pain and inflammation that we see in many people.
That is very interesting and very helpful. And for those of you that come to Core, you've seen our new menu board and a new website that lets people know what's in our food, especially the foods that we're making in the store, the hummus, the falafel, the dressings, the bone broth, all of the ingredients that we put in those foods are listed. So if you do have a sensitivity, you can find it on our website. So thank you, Dr. Bennett, for being with us.
Thank you.